Resident Evil is a franchise that has spun out countless titles over the last 30 years, and in that time they've had some incredible highs and incredible lows, but none as low as their 2022 multiplayer shooter, zombie shooter, co-op PvP thing. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that you've never heard of it, and if it wasn't given out for free alongside Resident Evil Village, I also wouldn't be surprised if no one played it. And just as quickly as it appeared, it'll be gone just the same, as the game's already off of online stores, and the servers will be shutting down on the 29th of June 2025, which I hopefully have this video up before then. But what even is Reverse? As mentioned previously, it's a multiplayer third-person shooter in essence, and if you're familiar at all with this series, especially its recent titles, it's certainly an interesting direction to take. You play as various Resident Evil characters from the games, and the gameplay consists of a 6-player free-for-all deathmatch on maps also directly taken from the games, but we'll talk more about that soon. I don't want this video to feel like I'm just constantly dunking on this game, but it kind of is. Probably the best part about my experience with this whole game is spending 20 minutes to create an account just to play. Bro, I don't speak Japanese. Now, I went into this whole thing with an open mind, and it was just as good I didn't take this game too seriously because, yeah, I already knew it wouldn't be a good time. I had my friend join me on this adventure, so it was a little bit more fun, and the only servers available were North American, and I mean, we're Australian, so that was already an issue, but at least I have the battle passes still working, and crossplay. There's no way to invite friends to play with you or to create a lobby either, so we had to rely on queuing up at the same time, which thankfully worked every time as no one plays this game. And after 5-minute wait times, we finally got into our first game. And let's go over the gameplay. Before hopping in a game, there's 11 different characters that you can play as, which you might think is a lot, but We have Resident Evil Village, Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, our boy Leon, Claire Redfield, Ada Wong, Hunk, and then the 5 fellas from Chris Redfield's squad in Village, for some reason. Each character has a primary weapon and a pistol for the secondary, along with 2 different abilities, and my favorite part is that balancing is completely gone in this game. Once you finally load into the only game mode on offer, you can play on 3 totally unique, cool and different maps, those being the RE8 Village, RE7 Farmhouse, and Raccoon City PD. And as for the actual gameplay, seeing as though I had a 20-second delay from the server ping alone, which is generally not an exaggeration, I'll press a key and then count for upwards of 20 seconds until it makes that movement on screen. But for the short snippets I did get a decent connection, it wasn't good. It really feels like they copy and pasted the combat and movement from their single player games, and what a surprise, it just doesn't work in this type of game. They added in a Dark Souls role though, but it doesn't feel like it gives you any invincibility frames, so it kinda does nothing. And as for the weapons, they're interesting. All of them are really terrible, but for some reason sometimes they just feel OP, and holy shit, Lobo is the most OP character. We had a whole match where this guy would just camp the farmhouse and stun lock us with his shoulder charge ability, and then gun us down with his LMG. The stun locking in this game is another one of those things that just makes everything worse, especially with how much it happens while you play. And then of course, there are the abilities, which are cool I guess, but they aren't anything to run home about. Leon can pull out dual pistols and hit a sick roundhouse, which brings you back to RE4. Umber Eyes has a free wall hack and a flashbang, and a passive invisibility for some reason. Ada can shoot explosive arrows and do a backflip for the hell of it, and Chris Redfield can fist everyone. Woohoo! The gameplay loop really is just kill or be killed, and once you die in your human form, you then turn into a monster from the Resident Evil series, the default being the Fat Molded from RE7, but from collecting these virus capsules, you can also play as the RE8 Lycan and Hunter Y, as well as Jack Baker, which all require 1 virus capsule to transform into, as well as the RE3 Nemesis and RE2 Super Tyrant, both requiring 2 virus capsules. Now, the monster system is admittedly quite cool, and I wish they did more with it, or at least did it differently, as having to kill your opponent twice is rather annoying and tedious. Along with the fact they have crazy spawn protection for a while and can really easily stun lock you with barely any effort. It just feels like more of a janky gimmick more than anything. And one quick nitpick I notice is that the time to kill feels really inconsistent in every gunfight. I do think it should be higher for the player on average and treat the creatures as more of a last stand type thing, where they do high damage but have lower health, but that's not what the game does. And it's in that kind of limbo stage where everything just feels really inconsistent, and having the only way of healing be green herbs scattered around the map is also a very odd choice. Now let's talk about the graphics, and I mean, it's developed on the RE engine, so it's not too bad, but something about this game just looks ugly. Whether it's cope just coming from my experience with the gameplay or not, the colors feel muddy. Every map feels darker than it should, and even for the maps, they're just copy and pasted from the games. And even with that, they only managed to include 3 billion-dollar company, by the way. And for some strange reason, the game has a comic book filter applied to it by default, which you need to manually look for in the settings to turn off, which honestly was probably just done to cover up the game's ugliness. I'll also talk about the map design here, and they actually did fairly well, for the most part. The layouts are easy to memorize, and while they can sometimes feel either too big or too small, they could honestly do whatever with them, as it doesn't really matter in a game of this type, and it just fits the style the game is trying to go for. Just do stuff for the hell of it. And all of this results in an awkward, inconsistent, incoherent, balancing misstep clusterfuck of a game. Even on a baseline level, I don't know how they fucked up a game like this. I ain't a video game developer, but I got a little bit of knowledge in the craft, and from a game design standpoint, they really did everything in the opposite ways they should have. It's almost like they hired a group of 15-year-old grade 9 digital tech students, gave them all the Resident Evil assets and told them to make a multiplayer game. But I think even those students could make a better game than this garbage. I know I've been a little negative this video, but to make up for it, here's some things I actually did like about the game. Alright, jokes aside, I do think they really fumbled with this game. And even just a few small changes could have made it so much better, because I wish that this was good. Having a fun Resident Evil multiplayer game would have been so cool, especially with the unique aspect of the monster mechanic. The biggest thing is probably the inconsistency of the weapons, not only with their damage, but the handling and even the information given to the player. Give me an easier way to know how much damage I'm dealing, how much health do the players actually have, and add hit markers while you're at it. I don't even know when I'm hitting shots or not. Also, smoothing out the movement would make the game feel a whole lot better overall, because I feel like I'm on ice here. Actually, the closest thing it feels like, and this isn't even a joke, is Roblox. Also, if you're going to add a dodge roll, at least make it so you're actually dodging shit, please. And while you're at it, a sprint might be cool as well. Another big thing is the time to kill. With a game like this, I feel that with making it more consistent and having a higher TTK would do wonders, because this shit feels like you're dying in just a couple of shots, while you yourself are just shooting rubber. And while you're at it, up the ammo counts too, shit runs out way too fast. And as for the monsters, having their TTK super low, I feel makes more sense, especially moving them towards more of a last stand type mechanic. And along with that, making the transform animation quicker and getting rid of the spawn protection would make the game feel a lot faster and more fun overall. And please remove stun locks completely. And I asked my friend who I played the game with if he has any notes, and he said the game's just boring as shit. So it really sucks that this game is already shutting down, considering that I can kind of see the potential, but after years of bad decisions and simple neglect, yeah, this game wasn't really set up to go far. But do I think that it's worth playing before it's gone forever? Like, subscribe, and become a channel member if you want all these cool perks. I know it's been a while, I was working on stuff with my YouTube payments, but I'll have this video out as soon as it gets fixed, and I got some more videos planned for the near future.